In this video, we're going to look a little bit more at graphics programs and learn about something interesting called a constant that can actually help us make our code a little more organized and also a little easier to use and modify. So to start, I'm in my Java Intro 0 project, and I'm going to open up this code called Italian flag. Now, if you actually run it, you'll notice what it does, unsurprisingly, is it draws a little picture of the Italian flag on the screen. And if we scroll down, you'll be able to see that, how am I doing this? Well, I create a grect for the green part, a grect for the red part, a grect for the border that's not actually getting filled in, and then a glabel down here at the bottom. Now I want to ask you this, and I want you to kind of sit and kind of ponder this question for a little bit. What if I asked you to move this flag 20 pixels to the right? So you wanted to move this entire thing over here. How difficult would that be? Now you might be looking at this and be like, it's not all that complicated. I would have to change kind of all of the x coordinates of all of these to make it a little bit different. Sure. Okay, so you'd have to change a few numbers. What if I wanted you to move it 20 pixels to the right and also scale it to be twice as big? Now we're talking changing a few of these x coordinates and also changing some widths and heights. But we also can tell that a lot of these numbers are the same, right? Like the width and the height of both of the parts of the flag are the same. And they actually both have the same y coordinate since they're level on the y-axis. Wouldn't it be really nice if we had some way to build these two shapes together so that when I change one, the other one can kind of automatically change? That's where constants are going to come in. I'm going to close out of this, and we're actually going to jump into a new project for this. So there should be code either beneath this video or on Schoology for you to download called Java Intro 1. So go ahead, download Java Intro 1 and open it up in BlueJ. And once you're done with that, come back and we can get started. I'm going to open mine up here. There's my Java Intro 1. And it's just got a few extra things that we're going to be working with. The one that we're going to be looking at here is going to be this constant example program. Now, right off the bat, you're probably noticing that there's a bunch of extra things at the top here, and a lot of words with those extra things. Don't worry so much about the words. What you really have to know from all of this is this keyword final. That means that this number actually cannot change. These are special values called constants. When we create constants in Java, we usually represent them with all caps, and we do need to put these 4 words in front of them. I promise you'll get very, very comfortable with what all of these words mean, but I'm not going to explain all of them right now. The two that you should at least vaguely know are final, which again means that something can't change. And then this is actually a new thing we haven't really seen before, which is a double. This is a new type that we haven't interacted with. A double is very similar to how an int works. It is a number, but it's a special kind of number. An int can't have a decimal and a double can. That's really the only difference between the two. We'll talk a little bit more in depth about ints versus doubles as we keep going forward in this class, but for now, that's what you need to know. A double is a number with a decimal. Now, let me actually show you what we're trying to draw. What we're looking at here is a circle that's actually inscribed inside of a box. So we're going to have a box that's going to be box width by box height big, and the circle's going to be perfectly inside that box. So I guess circle's kind of the wrong word. It might be an oval if the box is a rectangle. And what will happen if I change the width or the height of the box? Well, the circle inside should also adjust. You'll notice that there's no information given on where this should actually appear in the screen. We are going to put this in kind of the dead middle, dead center of the screen. So with that, let's go ahead and start doing this. Let's start with the box that's going to be kind of in the background. So let's do grect box. And again, I can do this on one line if I want to. I'm just going to do it on 2 lines here. Box equals new grect. Remember, I have to give a grect 4 numbers. What do those 4 numbers mean again? The first is the x coordinate of the top left corner. The second is the y coordinate of the top left corner. Then the width, then the height. Now, the width and the height are pretty straightforward here. So for now, I'm just going to leave some placeholders for the x and y coordinates. And then we know it's going to be box width by box height. And let's just put the add box. This won't work right now because we did kind of leave these empty, but just so we have this ready to go. Now the question is, to get this exactly in the middle of the screen, I actually have to do a little bit of math here to figure out exactly where the top left coordinate is compared to the center of the screen. If we think about it, looking at the picture, how do we actually get to the middle of the screen in the x coordinate? Isn't it the entire width of the screen divided by 2? So that's what I'll start with here. Let's do window width divided by 2. That would mean that the top left corner is in the center of the screen, which isn't exactly what I want, but we're getting there. What I really want is that the center of the screen should be the center of the box. So doesn't that mean that I'm going to be off by half of the box width? So I actually need to subtract box width divided by 2. And I think it's going to be pretty similar for the y coordinate. With the same logic, I want to go halfway down the screen, but then the whole shape is shifted up by half of the box height. So let's do window height divided by 2 minus box height divided by 2. Now this line's getting a little long, so I'm actually going to put this on the next line. Remember, Java doesn't actually care about how I indent things, so this isn't going to matter at all. And just to jazz it up, let's do one other thing. Let's do this. Let's do box dot set color to color dot magenta, my favorite color. And let's do box dot set filled to true. And let's take a look at what our box looks like. If we did this correctly, we should see a box in the middle of the screen that's filled in and magenta. That looks pretty good. Now is the part about getting the circle inscribed inside of that box. Or I guess oval is really the right word. Let's think about how big this oval should be. Well, let's first make it. Let's do G oval equals new G oval. Remember, those 4 numbers for a G oval are actually going to be exactly the same as the 4 numbers for a G rect. And if you remember, the top left corner is a little weird for a G oval because it doesn't really have corners, but it's actually the top left corner of its bounding box. Isn't the bounding box actually just the box that we made? So I think actually these 4 numbers that we used for the G rect, aren't they actually exactly the same for the G oval? If you're thinking that, you're totally right. Now let's do a few more things. Let's do oval dot set color. Let's do color dot cyan, which is like a fancy computer science light blue. Oval dot set filled to true. And what can we not forget to do? Add oval. If it's really bugging you that everything's indented a little weird, remember you can always go up here to edit and then auto layout, and it will kind of pop everything to where it really should be. All right, let's compile this and let's run it. And there we go. There's our circle inscribed inside of our rectangle, or our oval inside of our rectangle. Now, you might still be wondering, like, why did we use these constants? What's the point? Well, let's say now what I decided that I wanted to actually make the width be twice as big. Let's say I wanted to make the width 300 to make it actually a perfect square. I only have to change the number up here. I don't actually have to change the box and the oval. And you can see now if I run this again, it's actually adjusted both of them. So what's the power of a constant? What I really want you to know is that a constant makes your program way easier to change. If you start out your graphics programs with a whole bunch of constants and then base your entire program, all of the shapes, everything you add in on those constants, you never have to touch those objects again if you want to change something. All you have to do is change the numbers that are up at the top, and everything should change accordingly if you've actually coded it correctly. So we're going to be using constants all the time going forward in pretty much every graphics program we're going to do. And you're going to be able to see how powerful it is that we've actually made every single shape that's in our program be referencing the same numbers. It's going to make our lives a whole lot easier as we keep going forward.